Welcome to the Creative Connections Podcast, connecting creatives and geeks all over the planet, one tiny podcast at a time, once a week. We are grateful to be sponsored by several software tools sold in our tech shop at CreativeConnections.tech. Check it out today and see what new tools we have for your business or creativity. And now, here is your hostess of Creative Connections, putting hashtag art and apps on the map, Stacy Bryuga.
Hello. It has been a couple of weeks. I have been, things have blown up. My computer didn't want to work last week. Just all sorts of things. Now my contacts weren't working. Now my car's dead. But I am here today. Welcome to Creative Connections. And we have a wonderfully vivacious and I'm not sure how to describe motivating guest today. Yes. Let me welcome Miss Jenn Nelson to the show of WineAntics. You can tell from behind her that wine is a little bit of what she does. And video production and encouraging her peers in that is definitely something she does. So we're going to we actually don't even have a script today, and we're going to talk about that. Welcome, Jenn.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you so much. Let me bring my microphone closer, because I'm not used to being on a podcast. I'm used to live streaming, but I want that rich podcast voice for everybody.
Ooh, she's getting all sultry. That goes with the wine, right? Sultry and wine?
Sexy, velvety, red berry notes and deliciousness. All of these awesome descriptors go with wine.
And see, that's something I actually have never been able to do well. To be able to say, this has a autumn type nose, or this has...
Wait, don't worry.
Really?
There's a cheat sheet for it. Yes. You don't even have to know any of these things. There's a total cheat sheet for it.
This is why I don't know how to do the wine. Hey, Miss Cat. And Miss Lindsay Badger, thankfully, in the chat as well for us.
I can't wait to see all of her hashtags.
I know. She's the hashtag queen. And who knows, Kat might throw some up, too. I know, Kat, right? I never got a cheat sheet. What's this deal with the cheat sheets? And, okay, so wine wasn't necessarily the subject, but, wine is your gig. I like sparklies.
You like bubbles?
I like bubbles. I prefer an Asti and a Moscato over a champagne generally. But that's not that I don't like dry.
Okay.
I lean sweet, but I married an Italian and he taught me how to drink Chianti, which is definitely not sweet. And not bubbly.
No, not bubbly either. But there is from dry to sweet, there is a varietal or a type of champagne there for you. Champagne doesn't come just dry. There are other types of champagne. It's just that dry champagne yields the best price, so that's what they primarily make. But the same thing can be said about Prosecco, which is Italian sparkling, or Cava, that is Spanish sparkling. They come from what they'll call it sec or secco to brut, and so sec or secco is sweet. Think about it that way.
Brut
and then brut is dry. So you just have to look at the labels, and any bubbles that you like probably comes both dry and sweet.
So use my Latin background, my Latin language, and my language background that I love, like, derivations of words, and so, and I took Latin in high school, so, okay, so brut, that makes sense to me now, in a weird way. Yeah.
I think one of them tries to mess you up, though. I'm pretty sure it's Prosecco. They like to trick us, and brut or very brut or something like that actually is a little bit sweeter than what we would expect. Like, it's very brut, but it's actually sweeter than brut. Because they have to be confusing. but that's just life.
So that's like getting you to open the bottle without, because like once you open the bottle, what do?
You drink it.
You have to drink it.
If it's too dry, just put some orange juice in it. Put some peach juice in it. Put some cranberry juice. Put some pomegranate juice.
Pour it in whatever you're baking or making to cook. If you really don't, pour it over some chicken and
it becomes cooking wine.
Right.
But Kat was asking about this cheat sheet. So this is the WSET level 2, and this is one of the wine certifications that I have. So you two, for the very paltry price of $1,200, can have one of these cheat sheets.
That's why we didn't get the cheat sheet.
That's why you didn't get the cheat sheet.
Wine lips beats wine hair. Yes, I have the wine lips, and Jen has the vino hair. Okay. Because I have to come see you, Kat, and get my hair redone.
Wine noobs or woobs?
You're seeing some of the notes that I'm not seeing. So live streaming and wine, where does that come together? You've got a connection there.
That's where wine and live streaming comes together on WineAntics.
It does.
My intro into that is every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. However, we've been on a little hiatus. We start back up on August 3rd, and then for 2 months straight, so for 8 weeks, you will get to see us every Thursday at 9 p.m. on the WineAntics Facebook page. I have a great co-host. His name is Stub from Pork Envy. He's got some fabulous baby blue eyes and quite a charming personality, so he brings the ladies in, whereas I think I bring in the strange demographic.
Like us. Oh, I mean, wait.
I don't know. I think I bring in the novice demographic by comparison to Stub and many of the other wine lovers that I know. I really don't know that much. I haven't tasted that much, but I'm willing to always try new things, and I'll drag people along the way.
Well, and I think it's important to, like, when you're in a situation like wine, or whether you're talking about live streaming or tech, or no matter what it is you're talking about, you do need to have both the experts, if you will, and the noobs, or in the chat, it's woobs.
Woobs.
Well, it's wine noobs. Woobs.
That'll go over very well on Periscope.
Yeah, Woobs is a new one. Or Drunken Live from Kat. The hiatus because you're hungover. But you've got to have both the experts and your audience of people who don't know anything. Because then you get interaction. You get engagement. And I think it doesn't matter what type of show or anything. You've got to, in order to get the engagement, you've got to have both. The people who are sharing the knowledge they have, and the people who are asking the questions that maybe even the people with the knowledge wouldn't think about asking.
It's true. On a funny note, I don't think about those things at all until I got into a teaching capacity. So in my very early mornings, I actually teach conversational English to Korean business people, adults. I don't teach children. And I have gone through a series of exercises recently where people are asking very common things that I don't think about on a daily basis. I think that happens to everybody as they go along their path, as they go along their live streaming path, they go along their tech path, their HR path, or their wine path, whatever. You don't think about the things that you know really well, and there always needs to be that perspective for people that are coming new into the game. So I agree. Having a diverse amount of people talking about a subject really helps the total audience engagement. Yeah,
and I think you also, as an educator, you bring up a really good point because, or in any areas of our life where we are the experts or we get niched, we forget, and we can't really forget. We really need to remember that other person who's asking that question is asking because they really don't know and sometimes they can also feel intimidated by just our presentation, and they won't ask the question. I've been in situations like that is because I'm bubbling over with information. Like, maybe that's why I like bubbling wine. Oh, actually, makes sense. My Indian name is actually Bubbling Spring. It translates to Bubbling Spring. So, it makes sense that I like bubbling wine. Okay, anyway.
It all makes sense. It's all coming together right now.
Detour back in. And the hashtags are blowing up over here. Kat and Lindsay are having a hashtag contest. So we're going to have like show notes that are just a bunch of hashtags this week. YouTube might not let me have them all. But at some point, I do want to make sure that we are able to tell people where you are at. So, where can people find this wine expertise of yours on the interwebs? Where's the best place to find Jenn on the interwebs?
So honestly, it's on Twitter or on Facebook. Those are like my biggest every day. Like if you want to engage with me every day, please check me out at WineAntics. I'm everywhere as WineAntics. So WineAntics on Facebook, WineAntics on Twitter, Instagram, and I do have WineAntics.live. It is a rough shell right now. So don't judge me on that.
We're going to work on that. I have things that I may I'm going to help you with that one.
Oh gosh,
we're going to turn it from a shell to a shebang.
You know what? If you don't dive too deep, it looks pretty good. Like if you just go to the website and you just kind of like, oh, okay, she has something there. Oh, there's her social media following. There's that. Oh, there's a couple of revolving pictures. Oh, she's got that. Okay, good. Just don't go any further than that. Right?
But you know what? Sometimes that's better because Stacy would, on the other hand, and Lindsay can attest to this, Stacy would have way too much. Again, I go into a room, my expertise gets vomited everywhere, and it freaks people out because I'm bubbling. It's that bubbling spring thing. And it freaks people out. Instead of the, hey, wait a minute, time out. Top 7 things I need to do for the day, and can call it good, right?
Top 7 things. It's only 7 things that this brain can.
Okay, actually, CPU can and really, it should be: what are the 3 things you want to accomplish today? Which one's the hardest? And you wake up, and the first thing you do is spend 90 minutes focused on just the hardest thing.
Love all these things that I should be doing.
I know, right?
Like repurposing my content really effectively. I should be doing that. I should be promoting my stuff better. I should have a content calendar. I should have a marketing plan. Oh, you know what I should have even more? A business plan.
Oh, yeah. But then, wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
If we won the lottery, so that, like, if our businesses were when we get to the place where we can make enough money to hire a VA to do those little things, so that then we can focus on other things. Because really, there are some things that are better to outsource. Like for me, it might be better for me to outsource my video production. Because though I'm good at putting together various things to come together, there are other people who are better. Wine Chick plans to drink.
Like that. Premature. Can I get a group started on that?
Premature Bubbling. I get excited and make a mess. Yes. These two are a hot mess over in the chat. Is anybody else in the chat? Because I see there's 4 people, and I know that one of those is probably you, Jenn, watching.
It is. I'm actually watching myself very vainly.
Hey, you know. I'm actually watching myself on 2 monitors. Thankfully, it's not out of vanity. It's out of that's how we're getting the show out. But I don't do. I want to use free tools and teach people what free tools are out there where they can do something. And that's how my show evolved into, well, I take that back, not free tools. I use Ecamm Live, which is a $29 investment, but $29 versus $29 a month. I was good with that. You know, that's $1 a day for 1 month. And, I can do that. You know, but there's better video production out there too.
I know a little something about that.
Yeah, so tell us about what you do in the video. Like, so you do wine, but then you also do video production. That is phenomenal.
I feel like this is a really weird bridge. Like, how do you go from I worked for the government for many years of my life. How do you go from working for the government, quitting your full-time job, going back to school, because that's why I left the government. I got and while I was getting my master's in management and marketing, I decided that, hey, I'm taking some wine certification classes. Hey, I really want to do this wine thing. Like, I feel like that's my next career. And then learning about marketing will only help me do that. You know, these are all logical women things, like women brain things. Like, we put these things together and we're like, yeah, it'll all work out in the end. No big deal. But there was a little bit more to this. So back in November of 2015, that was kind of the beginning of live streaming. Like, it had come out of its shell a little bit. Meerkat was very popular back then. Periscope was picking up momentum. I went to my very first conference that at that time. It was the Wine Marketing and Tourism Conference. I paid for it out of my pocket. I was a legit struggling marketing student and forked up like $400 to go to this conference. And it was only 60 miles away. So I was still paying a lot to go to this conference.
Yeah.
And I didn't pay for plane fare or anything like that.
But that's still a lot of pennies scraped together.
It was. Trust, it was. But it was wine and it was marketing. Like, how much more could I ask for?
Yeah.
And during that...
They planned it for you. They planned it for you.
Oh, they totally did. And in my neck of the woods, like, I couldn't have asked for anything more of a push to say you're on the right track, honestly.
Hello! Creator to Jenn. There's a conference in your neck of the woods. Creator to Jenn.
Sassy Sauce Sistas. Lindsay, you're like, how do you pay these people? Do you pay them per hashtag to keep this going?
No, this just happens.
Okay.
It just happens. They're brilliant, and yeah.
I appreciate it, ladies. You are the best distraction. But it was at that conference and at that right junction in my life that one of the presenters was a marketing person, and they were talking about digital marketing, video marketing, trends for the future, and had one slide on Periscope. And I watched that and I wrote it down. I literally wrote it down on a scrap of paper. And I was like, okay, what is this? This is new. I haven't ever heard of this before. I knew that video, even before the times of Periscope and before Meerkat, video was growing, and that's how people wanted to receive information.
Well, right. Look at YouTube. I mean, look at YouTube prior to that. Just YouTube videos that people did and then uploaded. Absolutely. I mean, it seems so far away to me now, that whole uploading thing. Like, but people are still, like, not doing live, but we'll get to that. Absolutely.
There are still YouTube is still living, breathing, and succeeding in pre-produced content.
So they had
the live streaming arena.
So they had that slide on Periscope, and you're going, "What is this thing?"
One slide, and then guess where I went next?
Periscope.
No, we don't go straight to Periscope. We don't go straight to the Periscope. Or if we do we go straight to the Periscope. We only download the app and then browse around. We don't start going live. Where do we go before we go live, or before we start something new? Go to the Googles.
The Googles,
yes.
Yeah.
We went to the Googles, and I found Steve Dotto.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dotto is so cool. I love me some Dotto.
I do too.
I do love Steve
I
stuff.
blame the entire start of my live streaming career on Steve Dotto.
I've been watching his stuff since I used to teach students about Google Hangout because that was the only thing out there. This is pre-Periscope days, of course, and trying to teach students how to get a video up onto YouTube to share with other students without having to, or to be able to meet in a Google Hangout, just a video meeting. And And it's so funny because it seems back in the dark ages again. But I remember watching his stuff on about Google Hangouts and such on the Googles and the YouTubes. You know, you go and you look up Googles and you find Steve Dotto. Yeah.
Me too. I actually watched I watched 3 videos on Periscope because I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, you have to think about how many app updates Periscope has had in almost 2 years, okay? Many.
Oh.
And it wasn't very intuitive back in November of 2015. I really didn't understand. There weren't a ton of people that you could watch. They didn't even have that location thing back then.
Right.
So you were really struggling to find people and understand what the platform was about. So Steve, I believe, was like the 3rd Periscope video, and like you were talking about, Steve has such a great presence. He's like the most natural teacher. He's got a commanding and authoritative voice. You enjoy listening to him, which means he has some cadence to his discussions, and he's so informative. He gives you those visual cues and everything. So I was like, okay, I could do this. All right, I have the app. I have some knowledge. It's going to be a thing because the marketer at this one conference with this one slide told me it was going to be a thing.
They were right, though.
They were.
They were so right.
So I spent, I'm not even going to lie, probably until January of 2016, just doing a lot of stupid Periscopes. And I think if you go to WineAntics on Periscope, they're probably still there. Some of the very early ones, I think I have 70 broadcasts, and many of them were from last year, from 2016. They're scary.
As are many of the Creative Connections shows, I'm thinking, I'm gonna look back and go, oh my god, I did that, you know. But you also have completely described what Creative Connections is about in general. Like, how does wine and marketing and video and you know, how does that all come together? And I think that's how does any of that come together? And as females, we are very creative. We put together the things we enjoy, and we figure out how to make it work.
Amen.
And I love Donna's comment. I did a lot of Periscopes. Yeah. I actually didn't do a lot of Periscopes because Periscope was already waning by the time I got ready to fully jump in. I watched a lot of Periscopes, and then this other thing came on, and it took over many of our lives, especially late at night.
Oh, yeah, I haven't even gotten to that.
Yeah,
platform yet.
Okay, so where did you go from Periscope?
Well, I spent a lot of time on Periscope learning what people don't give 2 craps about when it comes to wine. I spend a lot of time, there's a very comprehensive book that complements this quick guide, and I then went into an even geekier level. I did the WSET2, and then I did the WSET3, and I thought, wow, I'm going to study for the diploma, because there's a 4th level. But you know what? I can share what I'm studying on live streaming. And nobody cared about it. Nobody cared about my level of geekiness when it comes to wine. And
that's
I'm not
ridiculous.
Gonna lie, I spent a good amount of time learning that lesson. Good amount of time learning that lesson because I'm stubborn. But my friend Maya, who is the wine mistress, she's also she's Parish Media. She's an awesome woman. She was the one who I met on Periscope, and then she introduced me to Blab. She's like, come check out this new platform. We can have a conversation. It's totally different than this one-to-many because on Periscopes and on traditional Facebook Lives, you don't get to engage with anybody. You don't get to banter. You don't get to go back and forth, especially not back then when there were no tools other than Blab to have a conversation. Or Google Hangouts, but I never really did that. And she's like, yeah, come on, be on my show. Or she was trying to get me on her show, and then she actually didn't do very much on Blab after that. And I stayed on.
Hey, come look at this candy, little girl. And then I'm going to disappear.
But she's also waiting to get into the Periscope VIP program. Like, she's at that level, and I'm here more on the production side. So it just it's what fit more naturally for each of us. She's also more of the wino that's always doing tasting events. She's going to foodie events. She goes to the Aspen Food Wine Festival. Like she's a judge and a somm. She's a different type of wino than I am.
Wait a minute. There's different types of winos?
There's many different types of winos.
Oh, wow.
Many different types of winos.
I did not realize there was such diversity in Vinozy.
Oh, there is. We bloggers are very sophisticated, and by bloggers I mean bloggers, because I don't write very much. I live stream, but what is the equivalent in live streaming terms to blogging?
Vlogging. Amy Schmidt-Tower.
But that's traditionally thought of as video, produced video, like pre-produced video.
So vlogging is totally different.
Livlogging. Livlogging. That's what it would need to be like. Like LVLO.
LIVLO. Livlogging. Livlogging. L apostrophe vlogging. Because that sounds more it sounds livlogging. Especially if it's with the wine, it sounds more exotic.
So, Chris Fior just joined us. He actually is one of my wine friends. He owns a wine shop in Hamden, Connecticut. He knew me in the blab days, and then he also went through the whole journey as we moved out of blab about a year ago now, and tried out Fire Talk, and tried out Huzzah, and tried out all these different platforms that were spawned from the death of blab.
Yes.
But he's done some amazing tasting live streams at his shop. So, hi, Chris. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. I appreciate having new folks come over here, and actually, I'll have to say that this is going to be the last in this series, in this season of Creative Connections. It'll be the last of the first season. Because I've decided, it's interesting. You're going out of your hiatus and coming back on. I'm going into a hiatus so that I can better plan and have some better production for the next season of Creative Connections. And we're going to switch times. We're going to change to probably, don't hold me probably Monday evenings at 9 p.m. Central. I've got a few people who are helping me think about it behind the scenes, and that's kind of what we've come up with. So
just don't try to compete with me every Thursday at 9 p.m.
I'm thinking it's going to be a Monday evening at 9 p.m. And it's going to be after you've done. It might be that we cross. where you're on hiatus when I'm on, and vice versa, which means everybody can watch us both.
There you go.
I like that. So Thursdays, 9 p.m. Central to watch, and we're going to put those links in the show notes. So if you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher or any of those, any of your favorite podcast scenarios or on the website, then you'll have links. It should come through also in those notes that you can click on and find Jenn and where she's, so you can follow WineAntics when it revs back up.
Yeah, I know you're on Central Time. I'm on East Coast Time, so it would be 8 Central Time,
8 Central, 9 Eastern
Time, or 6 p.m. Pacific Time. And if you're overseas, I'm sorry, you're probably asleep.
But thankfully, I just had this flashback of looking into a TV guide, and I'm old enough to remember getting TV guides in the mail every week, and that being something that you actually looked through and read to find shows that you wanted to watch that were going to be coming on. So this publicized piece of paper book that comes in the mail, and you look up the shows, and and it was whichever Eastern, Central, and Pacific, and you didn't have the option of watching the replay. And then VCRs came along, and you had the option of taping that. Now you do have the option of watching replay. So thankfully, they'll be able to watch a replay of you.
Yes, of course.
And
have a glass of wine. It makes everything better because we've had at least one or two.
so like you can drink during the show, and it's like seriously important that it might be an important part of the show.
It is quite an important part.
To drink while you're on the show.
It makes all of us, from the audience's perspective, it makes all of us a lot funnier, and Stub and I are a lot funnier as well.
Little social lubricant for...
Always need the social lubricant.
Which is funny, those of us who are on live streaming, but yet we need social lubricant. There's a little bit of a conundrum for you. We have a question. What are some of the most creative elements or segments you've seen or done in a live streaming show?
Okay, so in terms of what I've done, our Christmas show that Stub and I did was a bit of a disaster, but it was a lot of fun. So we had a viewer takeover for our Christmas show, and we asked just our community of wine lovers, and most of them are other bloggers and whatnot, to just send in a quick video of like saying Merry Christmas and sharing what you're looking forward to drinking in the new year, or something like that. And we expected to get like 4, 5, maybe people that would send in videos. I think we had like 25.
Oh my gosh.
25 people. And back then, I didn't have the help of VitMug, which includes myself and Jonathan Tripp behind the scenes to produce the show. Mm-hmm. So I was here being co-host, because it was just Stub and I. So I was a co-host, and then I was doing the production and switching out all these little videos and making sure the audio was working. Well, my audio wasn't working for the videos. I had to unplug my mic so you could hear it through my speakers.
Oh my god, what a nightmare.
And then I had to plug it back in so I could hear Stub. And it was a beautiful disaster. People loved the show, but it went long. We didn't get through all the videos because we didn't time it properly. We didn't.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful disaster.
I think that's important for like creative elements do cause beautiful disasters, but they also, and that one should be a hashtag, I'm thinking beautiful disaster, because and it's so amazing. You're only talking like what, a year and a half-ish ago?
This was
or just this
less
last
than a year ago.
Yeah. And the tools, tools that we're using are changing every single day, and what we have access to, like whether it's free or whether it costs a little bit of money, the tools we're using for live streaming change every darn day right now. And those of us who have been involved since the blab days, a lot of people, a lot of us are early adopters, and we've grabbed those tools. So you're telling me the behind the scenes of what you almost like an old school telephone operator, putting the plug in and pushing the, and what was the character that Lily Tomlin did? Not Edith. Yeah, we'd have, who's got the Googles handy? Not Edith Ann, but her character that did the telephone operator. And it was hilarious. But yeah, I could see like, and having self-produced all of my video content at this point, I can so appreciate that, oh, wait a minute, you gotta hit here, because I was going to use a piece of free software for this show before it started. And now, thankfully, I'm using one that's a little bit more, Lily Tomlin. But I cannot remember. Somebody either come up with it or I'll remember it and put it in the notes after the show. Maybe see if I can find the YouTube version of it. But I can see you behind the scenes, plugging and unplugging your stuff in, and are you on camera or not at the time? And I can so appreciate. Yes, one ringy dingy.
Oh, it says as Ernestine, the telephone
Ernestine.
operator.
Yeah, Ernestine, definitely.
Thank you, Googles.
Thank you, Googles, and thank you, Donna, for the one.
Donna. Oh.
Donna put in the one ringy dingy. Yes, we'll have to find that video and put it in the find a video of it and put it in the show notes just for fun. But the tools have changed so much, and having help from other people that we've met in different places. Like you're talking about Jonathan Tripp. And thank you to Jonathan. And again, I'm going to give you a shout out. Thank you for the shout out yesterday, Jonathan. And Donna, I figured that was maybe you, not not the Googles, because it came out of my head, not the Googles. I bet that was funny. I love the comedians of that era. Mm-hmm. Just had something really special.
It really did. I agree.
You know, Laugh-In era. And then early Saturday Night Live. I think Laugh-In to early Saturday Night Live had a really special. And those of us who were kids at that time, I'm aging myself, we soaked that up at that time. So, way off track. So back to where, you know, that was way off track. So you're flipping stuff, and that was your funniest show.
Well, I would say it was the most creative one, because I had 25 videos queued up. And I've never pushed my computer that far, nor the switching and being the host, and then people couldn't hear me talk while Stubb was on camera alone. I didn't have the best of scripts going on. But it came through, and people enjoyed it, and it'll be better next year. Like I don't look at any of the things that I've done as failures, but as starting points.
I think that's important.
And if they're not so pretty the first time around, then they're going to be better the next time, or I'm not going to do them again. Like if they don't get the reactions, like Lindsay, who told me pre-show that my periscope, no, it was my Facebook Live that happened when I was sitting outside the Pentagon, worried that the cop was going to come up to me. Like, I don't even think that's funny, or I didn't think it was funny because I was stressed the heck out. But that's not a failure, even if the cop did come up. It's not a failure. It's a starting point for apparently a whole sling of episodes where Jen gets worried if the cops are going to get her.
Are they coming after you?
Are they coming after me?
Yeah. Well, you know, Pentagon periscoping.
Well, I didn't even have the camera pointed at the Pentagon, really.
No,
it was just, It was an open parking lot, and anybody could park there.
You were sitting in the parking lot.
I was safe.
Right. and I think I thought that was a really good episode too. I happened to catch, and you bring up 31 Days Live.
Boom.
And falling off the wagon or being on the wagon. I've fallen off the wagon. This is the first of my 31 Days Live since Saturday or Sunday. I fell off. I literally fell off, for a lot of reasons, and I'm not seeing it as a failure. I'm seeing it as a, hey, no, I couldn't keep it up for 31 days straight this time. I'm going to do it again.
I don't think it was ever meant to be 31 days straight.
In my brain, it was.
I know, in mine it was too.
In my brain, it totally was.
It was like, oh, I want to be done in 31 days. Hi, Ryan.
No, it was just my challenge. Hey, Ryan. Thank you for coming by, Ryan. We're talking about all sorts of things, but a lot of live streaming stuff.
Ryan does a few live streams.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing some stuff. He's got that hustle zone going on. I saw a couple new logos. He's doing TV, magazine, interviews, all types of things. And he bought Wirecast. He's upgrading his live streams. So welcome to the Wirecast family, Ryan.
I'm jealous of both of you, I'm just going to say.
You, too, can shell out $450, $500 to have a Wirecast license.
I shall at some point shell out the Wirecast license. I know it's going to happen, but I have a few other things on the, like, maybe that the car died.
I was going to say,
I got to get the car fixed. Yeah. Real life crap like that.
I think Donna has done the best job out of all of us with 31 Days Live. I don't think you've missed a day, Donna, have you? You'll have to let us know, because I've seen her super consistently. And she was there was a shout out to her on the show yesterday on Let's Livestream. I think out of all of us, Donna's probably been the most consistent. So.
And I think it's the consistency that is, that's where my brain was with it. And so Donna, well, you've been more consistent than I have. I have a feeling, because I've seen your stuff, and I've actually seen Ryan's Hustle stuff. I'm gonna have. So you did today's show already, Donna. I'm gonna have to go. It's in the replays.
Yeah, you had a panel of vegans, didn't you? I think that's what the discussion was, because she's vegan travel. And
yeah, I knew the travel.
So she has some discussions about it, and I you've been using BeLive. I think Jonathan mentioned that you took the dive into BeLive. That's their new slogan. Take the dive into BeLive. What? That's trademarked already.
By you?
By me. Trademarked.
Trademarked. Jen owns it. You can buy it from her for a mere $2 million.
$2 bazillion right now.
Yes.
But
are they always vegan travel bloggers, Donna? Because we need to chat. We do need to chat. I'll send you a private message later and tell you why I said that. I'm going to give a shout out actually to my bestie. My bestie's having her 1-year business anniversary today. And this has absolutely nothing to do with the show, except that it's, my show and I'm going to. She has a gluten-free bakery here in Kansas City, and as of today, she's been open 1 year, and I am very proud of her. So I'm shouting out to Morgana's Gluten-Free Bakery just because. And that's actually, I haven't had her on the show because she's usually baking.
She's like she's busy or something.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of busy, and dive into live, trademarking, busy, like you've got 5 million projects going on, and which one do you do next? I know that you have a very short time frame with us today, so I wanted to kind of get us wrapped a little bit and tell you thank you so much for coming and hanging out, Jen. The Blab family to me is like really a group of really special people. It was a time, it really was like Camelot. You can't describe what the magic was, but there was magic in those 18 months or so that we all came together. And just that platform and the people who came together, there were collaborations that were built there and are still being built just off of that. Obviously the people who started it had no clue what was going to grow from what they did. And they also may not have cared much, frankly, or they would have figured out a way to, because I don't think they shut it down for financial reasons. I think it was other reasons. And it was a sad loss.
It was.
I mean, I'm sorry to bring this on, us to end on a sad note, but the happy note is we have each other. From that, there are many late night discussions that still happen between groups of amazing people and connections. And we can say, oh, hey, Ryan's doing this, or Jonathan's doing that, and Jen's doing this. Because, we know each other, almost like we went to high school together or something. But maybe it was, because at the end, Blab was kind of like high school. Not gonna lie.
It had its trolls, it had its popular crowd, it had its geeks, it had its nerds, it had all of it. But if nothing else, trying to turn the sad note that was the closure of Blab and the loss of that closed ecosystem community, it taught me something very valuable. It taught me to never depend on a platform. You cannot depend on a platform for anything that you need, and it's why I do the production level that I do now. It wasn't because I wanted to spend $500 in Wirecast. It wasn't that I wanted to put all this, while I do like doing the creative side of making graphics and whatnot, it wasn't because of that. It was because I didn't want to be hurt by any other platform again for losing my subscribers, losing my audience, losing my viewership, losing the ability to go live. I wanted control, and that's why I stepped up my production. I think a lot of people do. They get to the point where they're like, I've outgrown the limitations and the instability of different platforms, or I don't want to pay this price point for these value. I want to be able to do as much as I can exponentially, and I'm willing to invest the $500 that I need to right now to have a long-standing future. I will tell you that, Brian was talking about Wirecast being about $650, XSplit, vMix, all of these other things, they are different price points, and there's one out there for you, but find something to invest in that is going to be not only your immediate future, but your long-term future, and don't think for your one live stream. Don't think about this one live stream here.
No.
Think about being ready for TV. I always like to think of any of my broadcasts, are they ready for TV? Because I'm in the mindset that I want to be not a famous actress in Hollywood per se, but I would love to see my content on Netflix.
Oh, see, I want Jen to be her own channel, period.
Oh, yes.
I think it should be the Jen channel. The Jen channel. Jen live all the time. Not live all the time, but Jen for everyone all the time.
Oh, Jen's live? Like
Jen's live.
Domain that I own, and at Jen's Live that I use on Twitter.
Yes.
I already have that working for the future.
It's already trademarked. Yes.
It's already trademarked.
Jen's Live, Jen on Demand. It could be Jen on Demand, I don't know. Maybe we need to go see if that one's... because it's getting
a little dangerous there.
Don't get the wrong idea, y'all. Do not get the wrong idea. Jen's Live is going to be an amazing thing. You heard it here. You heard it right here. Thank you, everybody who's come, listened, been here, helped me with 12 episodes of something I jumped in on just because it was a challenge to myself, frankly. This started with a challenge. It's ending with a challenge. Or it's not ending. This season is ending with a challenge. The season is ending with, I'm going to do a 31-day consistent live at some point. Whether it starts with today and it's 31 days from today, or, I'm going to do it. Because that's the challenge to myself. But Creative Connections got me on live consistently. 31 Days Live is going to keep me on live consistently. And watch for us to come back out of our hiatus. Look for information on the Facebook page and at Cre8tivConnections.com. I thank you again, Miss Jenn Nelson, for sharing this time with me. You are an appreciated, loved blab sibling sister. And watch for WineAntics next week. Thursday evening, 9 Central, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. I had it in my head. I just couldn't get it. Hey, Miss Anna, we're wrapping up. Thank you for coming by. Catch the replay, and we will see you guys. Creative Connections will be back up in a couple months, but you'll see me still everywhere.
She's got a couple more days of her challenge.
Yeah. So you'll still see me. Just not for the show for a little bit. I want to do some planning. So thank you so much. I will look forward to seeing your 31-day live and see whether you end up in the Pentagon parking lot or wherever you end up next time. So, bye-bye.
For participating in our podcast today. You can find Stacy at Stacy Bryuka on any social media channels. Support us with your purchases in our tech shop, CRE number 8 TIVConnections.tech. Music courtesy of Enneagram Records, Scotty McBee, Upper Deck Studios, and Scott McBee. We appreciate their creativity, originality, and sponsorship of the show. Find the intro song Brooklyn and 59 in iTunes using the link in our show notes below. Our podcast website is CRE number 8 TIVConnections.com. Thank you from Creative Connections, bringing creatives and geeks together all over the planet, one tiny podcast at a time. If you are listening on your favorite podcast website, come by and check out our previous episodes on our websites. See you next week at 2 p.m. Central for the next Creative Connections.